Hi, I'm Michelle. Welcome to Simply Mimi. Have you ever had a problem you just couldn't stop thinking about? Maybe you're waiting to hear about a job. Maybe you're worried about money. Maybe someone you love is going through something and you don't know how to help. So you think about it and then you think about it some more. You replay conversations. You imagine what might happen. Then you imagine what you'll do if that happens. And before you know it, you've solved 17 problems that haven't even happened yet. I'm very good at this, by the way. And somehow we convince ourselves that if we think about something long enough, eventually we'll find the answer, or at least we'll feel better. But usually we don't. We just get tired. There's a verse in Proverbs that I've heard many times. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not unto thine own understanding. That's Proverbs 3-5. And I used to hear the words, lean not unto thine own understanding, and think, well, what does that actually mean in real life? Because we're supposed to think, we're supposed to make good decisions. We're supposed to use common sense. So surely it doesn't mean don't think. I think it's something much simpler. Maybe it's saying don't require yourself to understand everything before you're willing to move forward. There's a difference between thinking about a problem and believing that you have to figure out every possible outcome before you can have peace. Think about how often we do this. You apply for a job. You haven't heard anything yet. That's all you actually know. But your mind says, maybe they didn't like me. Maybe I said something wrong in the interview. Maybe they hire somebody else. Maybe I'm not going to find another job. Maybe I won't have enough money. And suddenly, you've gone from, I haven't heard back yet, to mentally reorganizing your entire life. Nothing actually happened. Your mind just filled in all the blank spaces. And unfortunately, it rarely fills them with, everything is probably going to work out beautifully. No, our brains apparently prefer screenwriting for disaster movies. What if, when we catch ourselves doing that, we come back to what we actually know? I haven't heard back yet. That's what I know. I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know what will happen tomorrow. And I don't need to know yet. What can I do today? Maybe I send another application. Maybe I follow up. Maybe I take a walk. Maybe I make dinner. Maybe I call somebody I love. Maybe I just make myself a cup of tea. Because worrying for another 3 hours isn't going to make tomorrow arrive any faster. And I think this is important. Trust isn't the same thing as doing nothing. The next verse says, in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. There's still a path. There's still movement. There's still something for us to do. We just don't have to see the entire road before taking the next step. And I think that's where we sometimes make life harder than it needs to be. We want guarantees. We want to know how the story ends. We want somebody to tell us, do this, then this, then this, and everything will work out exactly the way you want. But life doesn't usually give us that. Most of the time, we get enough light for the next step, and then another, and then another. So if there's something you're overthinking today, try asking yourself 3 questions. What do I actually know? Not what I'm afraid might happen, not what I'm imagining. What do I actually know? Then, is there something useful I can do about it today? If there is, do that. And finally, what am I trying to solve today that actually belongs to tomorrow? That one gets me sometimes. Because there are problems that don't need today's Michelle. They're tomorrow Michelle's problem. And she can handle them when she gets there. She usually does. You don't need to understand everything before you can move forward. You don't need every answer before you can have peace. Sometimes you just do what you can do today and trust the rest of the path to reveal itself when you get there. So if your mind has been working overtime lately, maybe you can give it the rest of the day off. That's enough thinking for today. Now go enjoy your life.